It's time for the Expert Advantage Real Estate Show with Blake Sloan. Blake Sloan, one of the top real estate agents not only on the Grand Strand, but in the world. He's been featured in Forbes magazine, the Wall Street Journal, NBC, and many other publications. And now, the Expert Advantage Real Estate Show with Blake Sloan. Welcome to another weekend. It is the Expert Advantage Real Estate Show with Blake Sloan. I'm Dave Priest. Over the next 30 minutes, you're going to be hearing a lot of information you're going to want to copy down, or at least try to revisit. So you might want to go to the website, blakesloanradio.com. Also, the phone number to get in touch with Blake Sloan is 808-SOLD. That's 843-808-SOLD over at Sloan Realty Group. Now, if you didn't get those copied down, don't worry. We'll be repeating all that contact information several times over the next 30 minutes. But a lot of information to get to and not a whole lot of time to do it. So let's go ahead and welcome to the show, Blake Sloan.
Hey, good morning. What's up, everybody? Got a ton of great stuff to cover today, both home buyers and home sellers. First and most important thing is we're going to have a new showtime starting next week. Obviously, everyone knows we have a Saturday show and a Sunday show. We're going to keep the same exact time for Saturdays now at 9 o'clock to 9:30. But starting next week, it's going to be Sundays from 10:30 to 11. So I've been lobbying for this for a while. You had some feedback from people that wanted to listen. They couldn't, because it was a little too early, or they weren't driving, or they weren't able to get to a radio at that time. So 10:30 to 11 going forward on Sundays. So that's going to be great. We'll be right before Rush Limbaugh. So really good stuff to look forward to. So change your calendars where it may be, but that's when we start that next week, which should be great. Also, some huge news for homeowners regarding flood insurance. We're going to cover that today, what that means for everyone here. Obviously, that's important to us because we are a beach destination. So we're going to cover that, kind of what that means for everybody. Also, going to share a story with you on how using a flat fee MLS company or being a forced owner can cost you literally $100,000, and how I was personally involved in that. We'll go through and tell you how that works. And I have a bunch of buyers who are looking for luxury homes at $300,000 and over, and we'll talk a little bit about that in the show. And also talk about interest rates, where we're at now, where we're at going forward. And also a new study came out, if we can get to it, you guys may have seen it, where Myrtle Beach ranked as the 7th fastest growing metro area in the nation from July 1st, 2012 to July 1st, 2013. So we'll see what that means, what those numbers kind of break down, and of course the usual hot smoking deals you have for everybody, and also VIP access to all the best deals before they hit the market even.
Now, we're just getting started on the show, but if you've never tuned in and heard the Blake Sloan Real Estate Show, Expert Advantage Real Estate Show with Blake, Blake is a great guy. He does a lot with real estate, and you'll be able to find that out in the next 30 minutes. And it's an amazing story if you look into it as well. Industry leaders have called him the real estate whiz kid. He's been in Forbes magazine, Wall Street Journal, NBC, Realty magazine. You've heard him being endorsed on this radio station by Sean Hannity and Glenn Beck. Now, put all that stuff together, it's just unprecedented. And it's all wrapped up into one package, which is Blake Sloan. Now, the thing is that if you listen to this show, you do know that Blake has some trademark systems that he goes by. And even though, we go over it from week to week, it's important that you kind of, rehash what some of these systems are, just to let people know what your system is, not just for buyers, but for sellers too.
Absolutely. That's the one thing that I want to make sure we always hit every show, because we see that leading to the biggest mistakes that anyone makes, which is the single most important variable in terms of your failure or success as a home buyer or home seller is 100% agent that you choose. Everyone makes that mistake of thinking that all those agents are the same, they're just a commodity. That could not be further from the truth. Just like an attorney, even without a doctor, there's difference between average, difference between part-time, difference between the absolute best, and that's the entire process there. And what we found is we reverse engineer the entire process from both A to Z on the home buying and home selling process, and each one of those, even though they're different, there's 100 different variables from A to Z in each and one of those, and you can create leverage at each one of those points, either positive leverage or negative leverage. And what our system's done, we reverse engineer to create maximum leverage for our clients at every single point. So for our home sellers, we have our guaranteed sold system, which sells houses up to 2 times faster and for 20% more money than traditional methods. And for home buyers, we have our unfair advantage home buying system, which gets you absolute best access to all the best deals, foreclosures, distress sales, desperate sellers. Also gets you absolute best access to financing, vendors through the process, and all that stuff, where each and every one of those are going to help create maximum, I guess you could say the best competitive advantage for all of our clients, going from A to Z, regardless if they're a buyer or a seller.
Well, I told you just a minute ago that we got a lot of stuff to fit in 30 minutes, and we've already just begun. So remember, Get your pen and pencils out if you want more information about what you're hearing today on the Expert Advantage Real Estate Show. Call Blake at 808-SOLD, that's 843-808-SOLD, or you can go to the website specially created for this radio show called BlakeSloanRadio.com. BlakeSloanRadio.com. It's the Expert Advantage Real Estate Show. Hey, it's your friend Sean Hannity. Now, if you own property in Myrtle Beach, the national marketing plan of the realtor that you
It's like our first time.
is absolutely critical.
It's like our first time.
Exactly why you need to talk to Blake Sloan at Sloan Realty Group. Now, Blake has a marketing system on a whole different level than anyone else in Myrtle Beach. That's so effective at capturing local buyers from around the world that he can guarantee to sell your home at a price and a deadline that you agree to, or Blake's going to buy it. While most agents rely on yard signs and open houses that attract the occasional buyer, Blake attracts hundreds of buyers each month, which creates demand and helps your property sell fast and for top dollar. Now, that's why, on average, Blake sells a property every single day of the year and is ranked among the top 100 agents in the entire U.S. by the Wall Street Journal. Now, working with Blake is risk-free. Now, if you're not happy, Blake gives you the freedom to cancel your contract and pay nothing. So give Blake a call today at 808-SOLD. That's 808-SOLD. Or just go online and see Blake's interview on NBC at Blake'sGuarantee.com. Blake'sGuarantee.com. And be sure to listen to Blake's Real Estate Show every Sunday morning at 9 and Saturday mornings at 8. Welcome back to the Expert Advantage Real Estate Show with Blake Sloan. You heard the phone numbers, 808-SOLD, that's 808-SOLD. The website for this address and this radio show is BlakeSloanRadio.com, BlakeSloanRadio.com. You heard before we went to the break, Blake, that we have some new news about flood insurance, and that's really important because of where we live.
Absolutely, it's huge, and we had some clients and stuff that are very, very happy about this. Some that were terrified based on what happened previously. Everybody knows, after we had the big hurricane that hit, Hurricane Sandy hit up north, and even after Katrina, rates were going up like crazy, especially in flood-prone areas, and it was a huge problem. Dateline did stories on it, everyone did, but awesome news for everyone. Basically, a few weeks ago, Senate voted and approved. It's called the Homeowner Flood Insurance Affordability Act. And what it does, it kind of holds FEMA accountable for issues caused by, it's called the Biggert Waters. And President Obama signed that into law March 21st, so not that long ago, but it's awesome in regards to what it does. So the basic thing it does is the 2012 Biggert Waters law. And what's outlined in this is, number one, it repeals the property sales trigger requiring that buyers immediately pay the full risk premium rate at the time of their purchase. And two, it restores grandfathering of rates under flood zones when properties were built to code. And it limits future increases to 18% annually for most properties built during 1975 and 25% for the older properties until they're paying full cost for flood insurance. So it's great news for everybody. And here's the key point too. The fourth thing is it refunds any premiums paid by property owners in excess of 18-25% increases. And a lot of people won't see that immediately, but we had some clients literally calling us freaking out a while ago. Their rates went up 700%. And, that's a huge thing. It's all flood insurance. And, even the bigger thing on that, because at first, like, we need to sell. Flood insurance is going crazy. Well, guess what? Then no buyers want to touch that either. We're going to pay a massive, flood insurance for that property. So there's so many things that were going on, and people were freaking out before. It's just great news for a lot of our clients or anybody out there listening. Make sure you get your insurance agent or whoever it may be to kind of help you navigate through this. And one thing we've been doing that's pretty cool is to better serve and give massive value to our clients. I personally went around interviewed a bunch of different insurance companies to see who can provide the best rates for our clients, because that's a huge part of one of those pieces in the puzzle where you create leverage either positive or negatively for both buyers and sellers. We found who's getting ridiculously good rates. It's a small independent company with the ability to shop around and they can basically buy through the big guys. But no joke, really, they can get 40% off cheaper than what most people are seeing in other rates without sacrificing any of their coverage. And very excited to have teamed up with them. We're going to get them on the show here the next few weeks. But literally, I just closed on a house this week, and the mortgage broker was like concerned. He's like, I think there's something up with your insurance. I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, the quote, there's no way, that's just way too low. Yeah. And it was only half what the people were paying previously. And the cool thing about this is they're able to get that great deal, and it doesn't sacrifice any coverage. I moved a lot of my coverage up, and it was still, when I sent the mortgage guy the sheet, and he's like, oh my gosh. He's like, he basically said, who's this guy? And basically send the information. We'll have them on, we'll announce that, probably post on the site. But anybody in the meantime, if you want to get information on it, just call us at 808-SOLD or email us, and we'll hook you up with them. And unbelievable deals. It makes a big difference, especially in your multi-payment, where most of the people that have a mortgage is obviously escrowed in there. That's $200 or $300 a month in some cases, depending on what it was. So awesome deal there, and very helpful for them for sure. And all that information, like you said,
said, we'll be posting that very shortly at BlakeSloanRadio.com, BlakeSloanRadio.com. Now, what's going on as far as the market is concerned?
We don't have any new numbers locally here yet, but one thing that's really kind of I want to cover because the foreclosure sale, obviously coming up here in April, and it's kind of one of my big focuses lately because it just drives me crazy from a standpoint of servicing and doing what I'm passionate about. But if you know anybody that's in trouble with a mortgage, call me. Have them call me, or if you have a friend, have them go to our website or submit on the website. Hey, I got this friend, whatever it may be, because we have a loss mitigation company. We can help people, and negotiate with these banks to help get them to accept less than what's owed on it, and they can walk away in most cases without, with that debt forgiven. Our clients don't pay any, deficiency and things like that. But right now, going to the April sale, I just checked today, there's 150 properties that are scheduled to go to foreclosure sale in April. That's just Horry County. And that blows my mind because if I could just, like I said, get our hands on that, be able to help people, we have a separate loss mitigation company that's teamed up with attorneys so we can have a lot more leverage with that. We reverse engineer the system all the way through A to Z to create a 90+% success rate when the average in MLS is about 13. And it's something where anybody maybe having trouble, if you are, and you need some expert advice, it's, free, that's not, there's no obligation or anything, definitely give us a call and reach out for sure. But I just want to throw it in there because that's something that's really important. It's kind of been on my heart. But real quick, a recap for anybody that may have missed our data. We just covered kind of the end of February because it always comes, usually the 15th of the month after that. So January, February numbers are kind of lagging behind, but February numbers, they're a little bit down in regards to sales numbers. Sales volume in February is down 4.6% from prior year. That's after January of 11%. So it's something we're watching daily in my office, kind of seeing what's going on with that, what we think may be. A lot has to do with weather and interest rates and obviously certain things there. We'll kind of do a whole show on that probably in the future. But so far, year to date, sales are down 5.1% by 2013. So it's not too far bad. The great thing about it is actually prices are up year to date 6.9%. So we talk about this all the time in the shows, right? Supply demand driven. So we're going to probably may see a dip in the future in regards to single family homes there, but medium sales price is $185,000 year to date, and like I said, it's up 6.9%. One of the big things we've seen too is distressed inventory is down 24.3% from February last year, and it's only 9.7% of all the listings, which is great news. The condo sales, they're a slow start, which we kind of knew about that, but February sales activity is off 13.5% from previous year. Year to date, 10.5%. A key number here, though, that's probably has a little bit to do with this is distressed inventory is down 48.8% below February 2013. So big difference there. The one thing that is a little bit thing to watch here. The numbers aren't really big enough to get a real accurate trend yet, but February year-to-date median sales price was down slightly from $110,000 in January to $105,000. So it's not a big, that big of a thing. But it's something we're definitely going to watch and kind of see how the trends go going forward. But residential lots, they're still up. They're at 15.7%. From previous year. That's because there's so many builders and stuff getting there. So we're going to watch and see what happens. Obviously, how much that has to do with interest rates. There's some pretty big news, coming out with that recently as well.
Well, you're talking about interest rates. What are we looking at right now? Do we have anything new to report?
We see a recent jump in, kind of tell about a story we had recently, but right now we're looking rate-wise, 30-year fixed rate, 4.46%. So we're seeing a climb up. Obviously, we talked about this as well. After Janet Yellen announced that the Fed was going to continue tapering back their purchase of buying bonds, mortgage-backed securities. So that's something we saw a lot of money jump from the bond market, different ways. A huge jump the day after that she announced that. We've seen it kind of go up and down and pretty much trend upwards since that. But 15-year fixed, 3.49%. One great thing to kind of watch out and check here is jumbo rates, right? Anything over 417,000. Is 4.25%. So it's actually less based on that today. We did a whole segment on that a while ago, kind of why that was. But that's a great news for any luxury home buyers. Give us a call. We'll kind of help you navigate through that as well. But just kind of give you an example. A year ago, 30-year fixed rate for traditional mortgage conventional was 3.37%. Right, we're up from that. And one of the stories that came out this past week, it was actually in our Freddie Mac blog. That we're not likely to see the 30-year fixed rate mortgages return to those historic lows we saw. Right, we kind of called it in the show and said it over and over. But it says, there's people that are hoping the 30-year gets back below 4%. Obviously, they do hope that's going to happen. But the reality is, there's a greater chance interest rates are going to return to the greater of 6%. Now, this is on Freddie Mac's site, right? So we talk about this for weeks and weeks now. But really crazy numbers here, which I really, it kind of puts it all in perspective. But the all-time record low since Fannie Mae started recording mortgage rates in 1971 was 3.31%. In November 2012, the all-time Yeah, sorry, the all-time low was in November 2012, not that long ago, right? The all-time high was in October of 1981 when it's 18.63%. It's like putting a house on a credit card, which is 4 times higher than today's 30-year fixed rate. But rates are around 4.5%, are relative to last year. But something to kind of celebrate is it's still record lows almost back to 1971. So we all know it's going to climb up. It's going to continue going up. If you look at 1980s, on average, it was 12.7%. 1990s, 8.12%. The 2000s, 6.29, and we're basically at 4.5 right now. So trend-wise, we're still, very, very good. The money's still very cheap. So anybody on the fence, you definitely want to make sure, that's the reason we'll talk about my experience in a minute. But why I bought the house, I said I'm going to start listening to my own medicine, right? And take my own advice there for sure. But we'll talk about that in a few minutes for sure.
All right, well, we had a lot of numbers to digest there. If you missed anything or if you weren't able to write it down or you just want to recap on that, again, the website set up specifically for this radio show is BlakeSloanRadio.com. That's BlakeSloanRadio.com. Stop on by there. Or if you just like to talk to Blake personally, you can call 843-808-SOLD. 843-808-SOLD. That's Blake Sloan at the Sloan Realty Group. Hello, Myrtle Beach. It's Glenn Beck. And if you need to sell your property,
you think you've been drinking today? You think both of us messing up? What time where are we at time-wise?
Because you have a celebrity right in your backyard, Blake Sloan of Sloan Realty Group, that guarantees to sell your property at a price and a deadline that you agree to, or Blake is going to...
It'll be about 17 and a half when we get back from this. So you have about, 12 and a half minutes-ish to go. I mean,
perfect.
I personally met Blake, and I can tell you that his national marketing program is unparalleled. Most agents in Myrtle Beach, they stick a sign in your yard, maybe it's 2 rooms, and they hope a buyer finds you. But Blake spends tens of thousands of dollars attracting buyers from all over the world that come to Myrtle Beach. That helps his properties sell fast and for top dollar. Blake even gives you the option to get out of your contract at any point if you're not happy with his level of service, but you never will. He's the real estate agent I wish I could have called, Blake Sloan. Call him now at 808-SOLD. That's 808-SOLD, or visit Blake's website and see his interview on NBC. That's Blake'sGuarantee.com. Or listen to Blake's Real Estate Show every Saturday morning at 8 or Sunday morning at 9. Welcome back once again to the Expert Advantage Real Estate Show with Blake Sloan. You heard the phone numbers, but I'll give them to you again. 843-808-SOLD, 843-808-SOLD. Go online to BlakeSloanRadio.com, BlakeSloanRadio.com. There's a hot buyer alert I want to make you aware of, and it is smoking. Now, Blake's working with a whole lot of buyers who are looking for high-end homes over $300,000. If you're thinking of selling, contact Blake Sloan immediately. Again, the phone number is 843-808-SOLD, 843-808-SOLD, and we've been talking about this for the last several weeks, and I know it's been a very hot commodity.
Absolutely. The crazy thing is, we talked about our local numbers last week, kind of where that range was. A lot of the sales were down, but the 250 and over actually sales are up. We've seen that all through the thing. So the hottest part of the market right now is 250,000 and above. Where in the past 12 months, this is our local market now. Sales are up 26.2% in that range above there. And so everything we do with 300 is just flying off the shelves. It's literally extremely fast. And as long as it's obviously within range, we can price it right, market right through our system. And those are the properties we specialize in with our guaranteed sold system. But even, I think we talked about this last week, our national numbers here, if you look at sales from 0 to 100,000, they're down so far year to date 19.1%. 100 to 250 is down 6%, but once you hit 250 and above, 250 to 500 up 3.9%, 500,000 to 750 is up 15.2%, 750,000 to 1 million is up 19.4%, and over $1 million up 37.5%. That's national. We're similar there. We don't have that many above 1 million in our marketplace, but that's a huge thing. The same exact thing we're seeing. It has to do with a lot of people who are very conservative, who have cash, who have the ability to buy, at least they have the ability to get a good mortgage. They have the cash to put down with a large mortgage, and they're finally off the fence. And that's something to really make sure to watch. So anybody out there, you're thinking about, you want a value, you can go right to our site if you want. You can get your home value instantly online, 30 seconds or less. Literally click a button and it'll do that for you. Or just give us a call. We can kind of say, look, here's where we're at. But definitely that's where it's at right now. We want to make sure we can capitalize on this before interest rates get up too much, where people are able to come off the fence. And we were talking in a meeting last week, there were a lot of people who refinanced when the rates were really, really, really low. A lot of people, what they're doing, they're renting their houses out now, and they're buying something else, which means it's kind of putting a strain on some of that inventory in some of those areas there. So it's something that anybody out there definitely call, submit to the site. Like I said, we have a concierge that can basically go through it. We're out there selling by on the phone or anything, so don't ever be afraid to call. We're there just to serve and give you the real data. So that's kind of the important thing. But the whole thing, people are jumping off the fence now, and that's one thing I guess when we get to our topic is we want to cover the importance of having the absolute best represent you when buying or selling a home, and cost you hundreds of thousands of dollars. Literally, an example, this past week, mentioned before, I bought a house this past week, literally closed on it, and I can't express how much of you can set yourself up for failure doing forced sale to owner or listing it with somebody who a flat fee MLS, which means they just put an MLS for you for like $300 or $400 or something, and then you're on to handle it for yourself. You're on basically thrown off the cliff, and you got to handle it yourself. So here's kind of an example of what happened. I run down awesome people, but really, really wish people in this situation would reach out to someone who's very, very good at what they do. But this house, nice house on the waterway, it was a dream house I actually looked years ago. And it was, a lot higher than I was willing to pay back then, but it was on the market for a couple of years with an agent who wasn't marketing correctly. It wasn't priced correctly. These people bought it in 2008. They put $100,000 into it because we talked about it before, maybe we'll get to it in a second, about their home inspector. Their home inspection they had was 3 pages long. Right. The agent, they knew, there was a firm there, I guess, they didn't sell a lot of houses. But basically they had a 3-page home inspection that didn't tell them anything. They get in the house, all kind of things have to be fixed with it, they spend $100,000 in upgrading and do certain things. My home inspection was 48 pages. To give you an example, after they fixed those things, right, a few years ago, and that's because it's all about, these are those real life leverage points I'm talking about, where you have somebody who's the absolute best. I'm not trying to be a home inspector, but I want the absolute best home inspector on my team when we're doing this, right? So that's what we do for all our clients. And they were floored, like 48 pages. We had one that was 3, and they were very kind of upset about that. But long story short, they decided to list with a flat fee MLS company who took some, crappy pictures, put on MLS, only like 5 or 6, where it should have 20 pictures plus. There's no sign in the yard. The only reason I knew about it, because I knew about the house, I was looking at a different one on the waterway. I was like, well, I might as well check, see what that price was. I was like, oh, that's not too bad. And it's one thing that people don't really realize too is that flat fee MLSs. A lot of the old school agents, people, they won't show their stuff, which is why it sits there forever. I don't know if it's like a boycotting thing or what. Obviously, we don't do anything like that in our company. We're new school, and we're 100% for free markets, and anybody can do what they want, because it just proved in this situation that they don't provide the value that's there. You also get what you pay for. But that's one thing that most people don't think about. So then I was able to put an offer on the house and negotiate directly with the seller, which is mistake number 1. You always want somebody to represent you, even if so you're not emotionally involved in there and able to dig. And long story short, went back and forth for a few days and was able to negotiate $70,000 off the purchase price.
That's one.
But that would never ever happen with an agent. I mean, I can't say last time did. Now without, I don't want to brag, I'm a pretty good negotiator. Long story short, but we're very good at what we do with data, with analytics, with knowing what's going on and utilizing that data. It's like somebody representing themselves in court. You don't really do that, right? Especially when you're the largest asset here. So we put an offer in. We had our home inspection, and there's a few items that came up where the previous person they hired to fix. There's a few things where there was kind of these piers underneath that were supposed to be redone, like underneath the house, because the house is built late 80s. It's on the water. It's a big house, right. But it had these different piers that the contractor was supposed to fix. They didn't. But we said to them, like, look, we want to have these things fixed, but we're also going to, or we're going to have a contractor of ours do some bids on it, maybe get off the price. So what happened with it was, they get that, and they're like, they weren't really happy about it. I said, we'll get it with you tomorrow. Well, I get a message from them that says, I tell you what, we'll just give you $30,000 off the price. And I was like, holy crap, I didn't even ask for $30,000. You know what I mean? I never thought they would take $30,000 more off the price. And I was just, forward. We didn't get a chance to address all the bids and certain things, but what it was. But, so it ends up being $100,000 off of what it was listed at, after they already had another $100,000 price reduction from where they were with the previous agent. Right. On that. So, is it worth saving that, 3 or 6% or whatever? Even when you do flat fee MLS, you're still only saving half that commission because you still have to pay the buyer's agent in there, right? Which most someone do. So, the 3%, that little bit of money, we'll say whatever it would have costed, was about, 8 times of what they would have saved by doing things. And that's the whole thing here. And part of our guaranteed sold system, we do a pre-inspection on a listing. So guess what? And there's proven results that show that every $1 you spend on the front end to fix something saves you $2 on the back end, right? They could have all that stuff fixed probably for $5,000 or $6,000, the estimate, but it costs $30,000 on the back end. That's not without somebody even asking for it. So, absolutely great people there. Very, very happy to have it. Houses, immaculate. It's totally redone, but that's one of the many. So you look at the situation they have with the agent on the buy side, right? We talk about creating maximum leverage. Guess what happened? You don't use a great home inspector, you get a 3-page, and by the way, that person's not in business anymore. Man. Imagine that, right? So what happened was that cost them $100,000 on the front end, right? Which is another thing. And then, we have a team of vendors, even contractors that we use to fix up houses that they're trustworthy, that are good. The contractor charged them all this money, and what happened was, underneath the house, the work was just kind of, how you say it, half-assed, I guess you say, and kind of what they did. And that's what my home inspector said the same thing. And we showed them pictures, documentation, everything, so it's real and tangible there. And that way, obviously they're very upset with that. And my guy said, hey, look, I'd have gone a lawsuit after that contractor who charged you all that money. But they were ready to get rid of it. They just offered $30,000 off. And, I just can't, those are just small instances in day-to-day stuff that we see every single day. So if you look at these leverage points I mentioned, all through A to Z, each and every one of these, how it's marketed, right? That's all of our proven power, power principles we have on our guaranteed sold system. Create leverage at every one of those, not lose leverage, right? How do you maximize and get maximum exposure? You can't have a yard sign out there. They didn't have yard sign, no internet marketing, none of that stuff. And like I said, people a lot of times will boycott those agents will and not show them as much. I don't know why it's always something that's kind of been an industry there, but this one situation ended up being $100,000. And these are the things that our buyer system extremely good, is designed to be very strong negotiation, absolutely. But that's why you want somebody who's representing, just like somebody you may know law pretty decent, or maybe know how things work. But when you get a lawyer in the courtroom, a whole different ballgame than going and represent yourself. So that's kind of just a quick example there. Don't want to get too deep into it, but just instead of worrying about trying to save 3% or whatever and costing yourself a massive amount of money, the problem is it's not tangible. Most people don't know that. They think, oh well, I got it sold, I saved a commission. Yeah, but you also left another $50,000 on the table. So that's one thing that I just wanted to kind of bring up for anybody out there thinking about that. At least talk to the expert first. If you don't agree with what's going on or don't see value in what they're offering, go back to the 4-7 owner. Go back to, you don't have to actually list it, but you always want to just check your options there. Even if I want to turn, you interview a few of them to see who's the absolute best there for your situation, for sure.
You call your situation the unfair advantage, and you kind of proved it right there that it was an unfair advantage of you versus the other people who weren't doing it right.
Yeah, it's like checkmate. You know what I'm saying? And that's kind of the whole thing. It's designed that way. It's reverse engineered for anybody. So anybody to buy side, you want someone out there who can do that for you. Our entire team is a team of experts who specialize in each one of those aspects. And I can't tell you on both the buy side. So either, like I mentioned, there's no way that the leverage doesn't just stay there. It's either positive or negative. And either one, someone's going to get that leverage. Either going to be the buyer in that process or it's going to be the seller in that process. And whoever's there to help you. And a lot of this, we call it win before you start. We want to reverse engineer before you get to that point, so that leverage is already where it's stacked on top of each other like dominoes to create that maximum bit of leverage for you, where it's not up for grabs, you're just hoping to get it. This is all reverse engineered proactively so we can win before we start, both in the home buying process and also with the home selling process. But most people think, especially the buyers, like, oh, I just want to look at some houses. No. No one wants a real estate agent on the front end, the buy side. They just want to look at houses, right? And that's like one thing we have the biggest challenge with people is they don't know what they don't know. Look, we're not here to sell anything. We're the best people. We're here to get you access to the best information, best data. But that's one of the big things where now the MLS is all public out there. That's great, but you want an expert who can help you take that information and help you make good decisions based on that.
You got less than 30 seconds left here. Do we have any hot buyer alerts?
Yes, huge deal. A huge foreclosure deal. Now, this is a foreclosure on the waterway, right? It's in Sox T. It's $249,000. Got a dock, and it's totally redone. The bank redid it, and it's all stilts. It's got a little office bedroom downstairs. $249. The price is just reduced on Friday, so definitely give us a call or check out the site, and we'll get that to you as well.
The website is BlakeSloanRadio.com, BlakeSloanRadio.com. The phone number is 808-SOLD, 843-808-SOLD. As always, Blake, thanks for all the information.
Thanks a lot.
All right, it's the Blake Sloan Show. It's the Expert Advantage Real Estate Show with Blake Sloan and Sloan Realty Group. Again, the phone number 808-SOLD. That's 843-808-SOLD. Hey, it's your friend Sean Hannity. Now, if you own property in Myrtle Beach, the national marketing plan of the realtor that you choose is absolutely critical. Now, that's exactly why you need to talk to Blake Sloan at Sloan Realty Group. Now, Blake has a marketing system on a whole different level than anyone else in Myrtle Beach. It's so effective at capturing local buyers from around the world that he can guarantee to sell your home at a price and a deadline that you agree to, or Blake's going to buy it. While most agents rely on yard signs and open houses that attract the occasional buyer, Blake attracts hundreds of buyers each month, which creates demand and helps your property sell fast and for top dollar. Now, that's why, on average, Blake sells a property every single day of the year and is ranked among the top 100 agents in the entire U.S. by the Wall Street Journal. Now, working with Blake is risk-free. Now, if you're not happy, Blake gives you the freedom to cancel your contract and pay nothing. So give Blake a call today at 808-SOLD. That's 808-SOLD. Or just go online and see Blake's interview on NBC at BlakesGuarantee.com. BlakesGuarantee.com. And be sure to listen to